1975, and Alan Dash found him doing that. Alan Dash worked for the council. 3 weeks later, Alan Dash got a new job, didn't he, Evan?
He did, yes.
Who was it with?
Who was that with? He was with the council, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't he get one with
National Parks and Wildlife? Yeah. Gosford Waters, he got a job with them full time. One of the few guys who still got a job there, he sacked most of the rangers, but he kept his. The interesting part was that, and by the way, I've got this on video too, okay? David Fitzgerald, who was paid by them to do this, had to bribe his way to look at it. They wouldn't show him. So he found this amazing site. He said, look at this site I found. He said, oh, show it to us. I said, I won't, unless you show me the glyphs. Oh, I can't show it to you. Fine then, you don't get to see this. Finally, they decided they would show him. They took him there in the evening, on dusk, and he was told not to tell a soul or he'd lose his job. Made very clear. You'd lose your job if you tell anyone. So he went in there, and you know what he found? Saw nothing. It was full to the top of litter. It took a gang of 6 men, 2 days and 2 nights to clear the whole thing out. But 3 years before, Alan Dash was walking through there with a chisel, just making marks in the ground there. It's a lie. David told me there was 30 years of litter they had to clear out of that to get it out so they could see what was there. What they could see is a couple of glyphs on the top and the rest was just full. But the story was he walked in there before. It's not true. It's not true. Oh, we checked out the Sydney Uni one. I want you to think about this. A university student. Some of you guys probably were university students at some stage. You've got to remember Sydney Uni has never done a course in hieroglyphs or Egyptology, ever. So what they managed to do is get a dozen or so students to camp out at Carry On for 3 weeks, not get a mark, not get paid, and just work between the walls and make up a fake set of glyphs which are Proto-Egyptian, which people didn't discover in the 1960s and wouldn't have been able to read. And by the way, during the years that followed, not one of those students in one of their idle moments has boasted and said, I've done this. All of them have kept quiet and not a person's come up and said, I did this. The deranged check, we don't have a name. What I've got is I've got a stat deck, 1958, signed by a lady whose name was Helen... That's it, Helen Parker, yeah. And what happened was she was taken there in 1958 by her uncle, who was then the secretary of what was National Parks and Wildlife.
I think it was Department of Flora and Fauna or something.
Yeah, and he told his daughter, niece rather, this was done by Egyptians, but you can't tell anyone. That was in 1958. So we got a name and we got a stat deck. They don't have a thing. So believe me, it is, and by the way, I spoke to the elders. We worked with Auntie Bev, the last full descent darking on a lady, and gave us descent and gave us the right to go on there. It is Egyptian. Okay, absolutely. Okay, so let's have a look at this place. Number one, there's a picture of it. Oh, hang on. What's this? That's a picture of the glyphs. That was taken by somebody who took a picture of the glyphs and that's what they got instead. We got a picture too. We took a picture of it. Can you put that up next to me? There's ours. See that spear there? That wasn't there. That wasn't there. That just come up in the camera. Nobody saw that. Who says that, Gavin?
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah. And that thing there, that wasn't there. I can tell you now, one was standing there, we would have known if we'd seen it. It wasn't there. There are many photos like that, and I can tell you something else too, ladies and gentlemen. If you do decide you want to go there, if you're a female, take a male with you.
We are useful occasionally. As men,
you will get sick if you don't have a male in there. You will get very sick. So if you go there, find a male, and 9 of them for once, because there are some use to you. Make sure you tell them that, because we get hammered a lot. Give us a bit of credit for this, because you will get sick. You need a male in there. I'm not saying it's a men's site. You're welcome to go there, many women have, but you need a male in there. And on occasions when a male has left the full on their own, they get sick, don't they?
They do, yeah.
They get real sick.
Real quick too.
Very quick, very sick. It's not a place for you to go. But there is another place further up for women, the portal there. Oh, man, you men don't walk lay in there. You'll get worse. And every woman that's been on there has had an amazing experience, and I never asked what it is, but I've seen it. Okay, let's go a bit further, Evan. These are the glyphs. Now, we are, courtesy of Ildi, we're going to get someone called Mohammed Ibrahim who's going to come out later this year to do a full reading and do a presentation on that. For now, I'm going to tell you now, so many people have done interpretations on this, but until now we haven't had an expert that comes to the place. Until that happens, it doesn't count. So there is going to be a resolution to this very soon. What I can tell you, as our understanding is what you're looking at there definitely is Egyptian. I had the manual that Ray Johnson worked with the Egyptians, was an antiquities department.
The Cairo Library.
That's
Dr.
right. Dr. Abu Diagazi. And she wrote back and said, this is a fantastic manual, you've got it right. So we used it. And yeah, all of this we can read. Just like I said with Slater, I'm not an Egyptologist, but if you've got the book and you've got 4,000 glyphs, you keep looking long enough, you'll find them. That actually says Lord Djed. That is one of the two sons of Khufu that came here 4,670 years ago. That's how long the Egyptians have been here. And it talks here further on about the fact they had two boats that were wrecked. They'd already been beaten up by, down in Wollongong and badly massacred by the original people there, and they nursed them back to health here. They looked after them and cared for them, and they couldn't get back. That's part of the story there. It also talks about the fact that Nefertari went west for 2 seasons, didn't he?
2 seasons and then got bitten by a snake twice.
How sloppy is that?
They even tried all their remedies and egg yolk.
Egg yolk.
But they wouldn't be used to our snakes.
No, they wouldn't be used to.
Our snakes are really bad.
And he died. And I should have brought his bone, because I've got it, haven't I? I forgot. I actually have got his bone here. I got his hip bone. I took it to the local base hospital, and we haven't got a picture of it, but trust me, I've got it. Maybe we have got it up there, do we?
No.
No. And we also were given something really interesting, ladies and gentlemen, which was a piece of metal that had a clasp on it. I think you've seen it, haven't you? Yeah. And we got it analysed by the top laboratory in the country. He's a friend of mine, tennis friend. That's how you do things around. It's the only way we
tennis
done. Tennis buddy. And he told me what's in there. 73% aluminium, 3% copper, 24% unidentified metals we've never seen before. And here's something else interesting. All aluminium alloys are 85% aluminium. This is 73%. And they don't contain copper. This does. And it's got 24% of stuff they can't identify. He said it could have been an oxide. We tried for that. We don't know what it is, Steve. We don't know what you've got. He said, but 1/4 of this is not from here. Yeah, that stuff was laying around there. So there's a lot more to this place. Okay, so we go further and you'll find what's also interesting is the Syrex. One of the reasons they said it's fake is because Syrex are back to front. They are. They're the wrong way around. And they said, in their wisdom in 1988, the person who looked at it, oh, it's fake because they made a mistake when they were copying it. They put it in back to front. The students did. I'm thinking, if these are Sydney News students who are going to become archaeologists and they can't even copy the thing off the book, God help us, we've got problems ahead. And also, what are they training to be? Dishonest. Why would a university train people to put up fake archaeology? Isn't that supposed to be really unprofessional and nearly illegal to do that? What are they doing here? It's all rubbish anyway. By the way, this is how up-to-date this is. I think it's Laird Scranton.
Laird Scranton, yeah.
Sent us something. A guy called Vanderblink in 2008 found pottery of Proto-Egyptian and all the Syrex were reversed. It is normal. It was sacred. And only Syrex that are reversed are considered sacred, because if you know something about Thoth's secret language was put in mirror reverse, which is what they've done there. They put it in back to front. Now, what's interesting is all the Syrex are reversed except the first one, Nefertari. It's in a square, which is a cartouche. These are actually oblongs or rectangles, and they're called Syrex. The experts call them cartouches. They really are good experts. They can't even tell they're Syrex. Now, what that meant was, that is not wrong. It's right. If it's sacred and it's Thoth's wisdom, it must be written in reverse. So, that's part of the story. Next one, mate. Keep going. That one's, go back one. That's quite interesting, because that one starts, it's the beginning, that's the beginning of the second and third wall. Now, this is where we're going to find it interesting with Muhammad Ibrahim. Because my Proto-Egyptian, on the first wall, I got a 90% match. On this wall, to Proto-Egyptian, I got a 44% match, which means 50% of the glyphs were not in the Proto-Egyptian manual. My belief is, and we'll find out if I'm right or wrong, there's two different stories here. Because the other one is thinner cut, this is a thicker and deeper cut, and also it's a complete cut, so it's not done by a chisel. The circles there are complete. It's not like line like that. They're just a cut. They've been cut in. Again, we see this all over the place. And we're of the opinion, Arnie Bev told us that the original people had their own language. We believe this is a more ancient language than all languages came from. And what you're going to find quite fascinating, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a UFO bet in here, is the most common glyph on those two walls is what the general public calls the UFO glyphs. And what you have is 8 of them. What's interesting is that 5 are landing, with 5 legs coming down, and 3 are plummeting, like going straight down like that. According to Arnie Bev, when the Pleiadian ship, and this is what she told us,
Carriers
when
from up there. I think she called them carriers from up there.
Oh, carriers from up there, that's what she called them. When the carriers from up here crashed in Bambara, and we've got a UFO glyph right alongside there, there's 4 metres, she said some of the escape pods landed and some crashed, which is what we've got there on that thing there. We're not sure what those 2 walls are, but I want to know why those UFO glyphs are there, because they obviously are not hieroglyphs. Okay, what you'll also find is they've all been cut. Now there is a breakdown there of one wall, which I've done a breakdown of what it actually meant. And a lot of it I can't get, the ones I have, and down the bottom you've got 42% Proto-Egyptian. That's 58%, it's not in the manual. And by the way, the expert said, no, this is rubbish because I can't recognise it. Lance Scranton went through and found about 50 Dogon symbols, didn't he?
Yeah.
By the way, the Dogon tribe worked with another tribe called the Bambara tribe. They're the spiritual ones. You know what this place is called? Bambara. Look up in Wikipedia and you'll see 2 entries. One is a place near Gosford, and the other one is a neighbouring tribe of the Dogon. Just a coincidence, of course.
And then we asked some of the people around there, where does that word come from? Oh, it's an ancient word.
Ancient word, we're not sure. It comes a way back. It's a Dogon word, and the Dogon learnt their language from here too. It's the same everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we see this as a very spiritual story. Now, here's the government in action again, isn't it?
Very good.
See that wonderful shaft? 10 metres. 10 metres it is, dug out. Now, for a long time, National Parks and Wildlife said it's natural. They've decided it's not. They've decided it is not natural, it was made. But they've all worked out who it is too, by the way. It was made by vandals. I said so. Must be
I'm
right.
assuming they're talking about the hooligans, not the Germanic tribe.
Not the Germanic tribe, the vandals from way back. No, vandals. You know the best part is, these vandals don't tag it, don't leave a note, and the best part is, see all that stuff, all the film? They took it away and cleaned up. I did say, can you find these vandals? I've got work on the farm I need done. They do it for nothing, they clean up and they do a great job. Vandals. Now, you might laugh, but I'm going to tell you that is the official explanation from National Parks and Wildlife. But the good news is, because vandals did it, they filled the whole thing up. They filled it up completely. That picture you can't take anymore, it's gone. What actually happened was, ladies and gentlemen, before we got there, they'd already filled it up before. And when we came with the film and the camera, 3 people must have spent days there, Evan, with tripods getting all the rocks out. Some weighed tons, I don't know. I just figured that must have happened because when we got there it was clean. Completely clean. And of course it's against the law to go to National Parks and Wildlife and mess around, so it couldn't have been us. But someone did it for us, and when we got there, we got underneath and took those pictures. Now that shaft runs directly up to where the glyphs are. And above it was where the bone that I don't have now was found, along with the pendant. And what we think was, Nefertari was buried. It says so. We've got another set of glyphs that say that. We think originally he was buried there and taken out, and we think the bone and the clasp dropped, and we picked them up on the way through. We don't know if it was taken out and robbed or taken out and removed. We're not sure. There's a picture on the other side going up there. Yes, vandals did it, and thank God National Parks and Wildlife have filled it up so no one can get it anymore. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there is another set of glyphs. Now remember, the story is that they went between the walls and did a set of glyphs. No. They went all over the place and did them according to this, and this is a clever set of glyphs, because this one we can read and we know exactly what it says. I couldn't read it. An expert. We've got other people to do this stuff for us.
Yeah.
We don't know how to do that. The most important glyph is that one down there. And I'll tell you what it actually says. You've got the burial coffin up here, you've got a direction pointer there. That staff down there is only a staff that can be held by the son of the Pharaoh, or the Pharaoh. Nefertari was the son of the Pharaoh. And that says back shaft or back wall. Now, if you go around the back of the glyphs, that's where the shaft is. It points directly to where the burial site was. And here's the beauty of this. It's a smaller cut, it's a narrower cut, and a shallower cut. It's not the same cut that's over there. It's been done by another person differently again. Or the deranged Czech did a different set, smaller cut, and knew so much about Proto-Egyptian memorising because he never walked out with the book. Nor did he walk out with a hammer, just a chisel. Pretty good work, eh? And you know the funny part of this is, for years I put that up and someone said, what's that hole above the glyphs? I've been there 5 times. That one. I put a stick in there and I can go in 40 centimetres. 40 centimetres, little twigs, and it keeps going in and in and in. It's directly above it. It's a hole. It cuts directly in it. The glyphs start down there and there it is. And I went there about 4 times and this guy rang me up and said, what are you talking about? There's no hole above there. He said, go and watch your own video, and there it is in front of me. It says something about what your eyes actually see. I was there so many times and never saw that hole. Now my question is, what's the hole doing there? And the reason why those glyphs stay is there's a ledge that sticks out like that, and there's a rock on the other side. It's like a natural preserving area. It can't get in. The same way those walls you saw, they had a roof on top until the 1950s and it collapsed. Now one side's eroding massively, and do you think National Parks and Life will put a drip line across the top to stop it? No way. They want it to erode and die. Okay, next one, mate. Oh, for the ladies. That's the healing table. That table, women lay in. I don't ask what happens to them because it's women's business and I'm not allowed to ask. That's women's stuff. We know the spot we can walk to, and if you walk past that spot, you're going to get sick if you're a male. You can escort the women in, and once you get past that point, you sit and you turn your back while they're doing this. You can't watch. And you don't ask. But I know now, I've put so many women on that table, many come back crying, and all of them have major, different events that take place. All of them get wisdom. We were told by Uncle Jerry that if a woman laid there for an hour, any sickness she had would go. Any illness would disappear. It is an unusual sight. It's not natural. It was melted, or maybe it was done by sound, and it was laid in a way. The rock above is nothing like this. There's a ledge that used to go all the way around, it sticks up. And I can tell you now, you ask the 15 women that have been there, and I'll tell you the same thing I did. There's something stunning. It's a portal for women. Unfortunately, I'm pleased to say, thank you, Richard, there is a portal for men too, and we did find it. We were a little bit disappointed, weren't we?
Very
Because the women would
disappointed.
go off and do their amazing stuff, and we just sit around looking at each other saying, 15 minutes to go. I didn't say that, but I read the back there. And they would say, when are we going to get out? And then finally, Richard, thank you for that. Now, so when the women go and do their business, we've got somewhere to go too. And the funny part was, I mentioned telling you that, Uncle Jerry told me about it, didn't he? And I said, oh, that's where it was. I remember what he said. He told me exactly that, but it didn't dawn at the time. So we've got 15 minutes. Let's keep going, mate. All right. Richard's partner is not here today at the moment. She sat in that portal, and here's a bit of proof for those people who are doubting it. Can you see the hint of blue? Ah, blue. Wonder why he chose blue there. Beginning there. Well, this was done with a normal photograph, wasn't it? Normal photograph, no Holford lens. That's 3 or 4 seconds later. That portal.
With a mobile phone camera.
Yeah, just a mobile phone camera. There's no tricks with this one, ladies and gentlemen. This is what is. The same way I showed you those two at the start. None of these were done with special apparatus. They're just done with cameras, taking a picture of something, and lo and behold, that's what come out. So if people don't think that place is sacred, it is sacred. And for women in particular, now men, you'll understand why I said don't lay there. You come up from that, you won't feel the same as they do, I can tell you that much. You do not lay there. Okay, now if you want further proof, we have it. Directly above the glyphs, around that area, there are at least, probably 5,000 star markers. On one platform, there's nearly 1,000. It's the largest accumulation of star markers in the world. You're looking at a map that was done by Sydney Uni. Again, we only do top quality stuff here. What happened was when they first went and saw the glyphs, a group of people saw the glyphs, someone climbed up above and found these star markers. But hang on, that's a star chart. And it is. And you know what's interesting? There's a date down the bottom. There it is there. July the 15th, 2500 BC. You add the 2,100 years we've got now, that's 4,600 years. Do you know what? That was the time of Khufu's sons. 4,600 years, and that is the closest star marker. It's directly above the glyphs. You climb up from the glyphs and it's the first one you hit. Now, is that a coincidence? That was done by Aboriginal people. Directly above the glyphs, they put a special marker in, and that tells us what the night sky was like 4,615 years ago, which is exactly the same time those glyphs, the two sons from Khufu, were supposed to turn up. Could be a coincidence, but the good news is it's not protected, and some of the star markers have been dug out and trashed. Welcome to Australia.
There's some people put their names.
Yes, they did.
Too. Yeah.
They did. Big scratches everywhere. None of this place is protected. And you know why it's protected? Not protected because they don't want to protect it. Why don't they want to protect it? Because they don't want you to know the truth. This is what happens in our country. Okay, the next one please. There's the star markers. It takes round about 900 to 1,000 impact points to make one of them. And when a star marker is made, it's given to a young man who becomes an adult, and it's part of his initiation. With as on top, so below. That's the most important saying you're going to hear. Every site in Australia, if it doesn't have a contemporary up there, it's not legitimate. It must relate to somewhere up there. The original people are fully understanding of the difference. It's all the same thing, top and bottom. Okay, 15 minutes, I think we're going to go through there. That's part of the star chart we're working on. We've done 380 of those so far. We've got another 600 to go. We only do this in the middle of summer when it's about what?
40 degrees?
40 degrees, and we get volunteers to come out and think this is going to be fun. At the end of the day, you see them with turbans wrapped around their head, laying underneath the shade of a tree, exhausted and wondering why in God's name did they spend a day with us? It's not fun, because it's all hot and you're walking on top of sandstone, there's no cover. It doesn't warm up during the day. I remember those days. Can we skip that one, Evan? Because I think that's Snowy Mountains one. It's a wall that was made there. We should finish with that.
Yeah.
I think we should finish with this one. It's here. It's Wurdi Yuang. It's part of yours. Well, I think it's a good way to finish here because it's very important you understand. I'm saying to you the first astronomers on this planet are original. So CSIRO. I want you to remember something. Stonehenge was done 5,000 years ago. The current date for this is actually 20,000 years. So who are the first astronomers? Let me tell you about the first astronomers. The original people don't look at stars. Did you know that? They look at the spaces in between, the dark spaces in between. That's what we look at. We're always looking at that. We don't look at the stars, we look at the shapes in between. So we do things differently. You look at the light, we look at the whole picture, and there's a big difference there. This one is at least 20,000 years and does mark out exactly what Stonehenge did. But it's also, there's also telling us now they think it has got the equation for pi there also. They're working on that at the moment. Now what that tells me, and I want to close with this, I've got about 10 minutes to go. You need to understand where this is all taking us. This is all the same story in different ways. The original people are obsessed with the stars. There is not one tribe in Australia that doesn't have the Seven Sisters dreaming story. But there's not one tribe in Australia that shares any other story. That's the one story that's shared. I've been to Port Hedland at Gangamaya where they were going to blow up a cave. And the elder, Eddie Lafee, told me if they blow that out, it's the middle sister of the Pleiades, our dreaming is dead. We have no dreaming anymore. And we fought for it and we got it back. Mainly because the price of iron ore dropped so much, the Atlas decided not to mine any further. But they were going to blow it up. They were going to blow that cave up. And the elders told them it's sacred. They didn't care. Because it's the Seven Sisters. That counts above everything else. And as I remember when Uncle Jerry would ring me and pass on information, he'd always finish by saying this. He said the same thing every time. He always said it, and I knew this was the end of the conversation, that my grandmother said that our ancestors come from the Pleiades. Now I want to tell you what this is about. When we do the rocks, I talk in more detail about this. You need to understand one thing. The Pleiadians came here. I'll tell you more with the rocks, but they came here with a plan. And it wasn't to find someone that was beneath them. was to find someone that was their equal. They came here because we have something they don't have. The whole cosmos comes here for the same thing. You must understand there's something in this planet that doesn't belong elsewhere at its greatest here. The Pleiadians came here and they had a long-term plan. They were going to find the most advanced race there was, the most spiritual race, which are the original people, seed them with Pleiadian genes, and then send them out to the world to spread those genes, which they've done. And the reason for that is very simple. I've got to be very careful about this, but the elders from all over the country have been talking about this year in particular. They've been talking about a change that's going to take place. They call it an awakening. And it comes from the indigenous heart and soul. And this year is the last year, a preparation for what's taking place. And my understanding is that we are going to be assisted. But they can't do anything. We have to give them something first. But we're getting ready for that time when what took place so long ago comes back in a circle. Because original timelines don't go like this. They come back in a circle and repeat themselves. Now what's taking place now is that I'm talking about the Pleiadians, not from the point of view of the UFOs, not from the point of view of the ships and what you've seen and stuff like that. I'm talking about as part of our history. It goes way back. And the reason why our history has been hidden is because the authorities know our history is wrapped around the Seven Sisters. And I can tell you, the Art of Martha made a statement last year, didn't they, Evan? When the seventh sister appeared. 6 are black, 1 is white. And she went to that meeting, and the 6 sisters came up and said, say it. She said, say what? She said, say it. Say what you think. And she ummed and ahed for a while, and she finally said, she said it as a question. She said, am I the seventh sister? She said, now we can start. And that's when the Art of Martha made a statement. And I can share that statement, but you can work out what it means. It was made last year. She said, the awakening begins in 1.5 turns. 1.5 turns. I'll let you work out what that means. But ladies and gentlemen, the whole purpose of this talk was to let you know there is hope in this. There is a truth in this. Yes, the government's trying to hide it. Let them do this. Let them send me threatening letters. If I've got to go to jail, I'll go to jail. For telling the truth. Other people have done that before today. But the point is, they can't stop this. I can tell you now, they're coming. They've been called. They'll call from here. And they're coming to here first. And I will tell you one other thing. That I've been told by the elders, there are 3 ways this can pan out. I know 2 of them, and they're appalling. They really are catastrophic. And the 3rd way is the indigenous people of this planet seeing this planet back into balance. Do you know that the Earth has moved 1/2 degree? We're not on 23.5 degrees, we're on 23 degrees now. NASA has recalibrated for that. There's a shift coming. We can save that shift. But I'm going to leave you with these 2 things. Number 1, that shift, if it takes place, and it may take place in the middle, that standing stone site you saw before, I've been told by the elders, that's the trip switch. If we don't get that up and sung, and we can sing it, we'll give them the songs by Kano to get it started again, that'll open up the whole of this continent. And then the ley lines will run around the planet. So this is not a story of the past, as some people think it is. There's no such thing as a past in original stories. It goes around in a circle, man. Whatever happens, happens again and again and again. And it's going to happen very soon. So this is a story about our past, our ancestry, and it's also a story about our future. And what I will say is this, the elders have told us and told everyone, and I'm telling you the same thing. Those of you who know are on the fence who aren't sure, get on their backs. They've got a year to make their mind up. And if they don't make their mind up, if we can get the standing stone side up and we can flip the switch, then those that make the right decision, they'll be rewarded. And those that don't, well, that's a different story. 5 minutes, then I can close with this. I was told this, so I'll finish with this one. I was told after that day, if we do it properly, there'll be 2 realities. 2. One reality will be for those who are enlightened at a higher vibration. Because the vibration of this planet is going off the planet right now. You do know that. That's why our rocks are now just unbelievably difficult to work with. Because everything's picking up. What if that vibration stayed It peaks every now and then, goes to 150, 180. What if it stayed at 350, 400 all the time? Well, I'm going to tell you what happens, because I've got 5 minutes, so I can tell you exactly what happens. I'll tell you how this works out, if we do it the right way. This is a story I got from Mark McMurtry, didn't I? Good way to close. An uncle came in Darwin and said, the time's coming. Because we got the rocks, we got the sticks, we know how to do this. There's different people who've got it. He said, it's time just to warm things up. He had this special stick. Kana's got one too, which is now a bundle of elder to go in the mound. And he said, I'm going to do this. And I was with a guy that worked from the current affairs. There was a cameraman there, and he backed this up. He put the stick in the ground. And on that park, there were about 90 people, and 88 of them just collapsed on the ground. And that included the 6'6" guy that worked for the cameraman. He said, yeah, I fell on the ground too. And the elder, and Mark didn't. Ambulances came, picked everyone up. They were all unconscious. Picked them up, took them to the hospital, and about 5 hours later, they all woke up. What am I doing here? What's going on? What that was just a hint of what will take place. What that meant, of the 90 people in that park, 2 were ready, 88 weren't. That's not a good number. But that's how things stand at the moment.